Welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead, where on my channel I focus on food, growing it, preparing it, and preserving it. Today is Friday, so we are doing an edition of Freeze Dry Friday, and today we are going to be turning liquid into powder. I have here some dark tart cherry juice that was strained off of the cherries that I showed how to cover in chocolate and freeze dry, and I don't want to waste this. I actually do buy dark tart cherry juice from Azure Standard. It comes in a bottle like this. I do have some in my pantry. I pay for that. This is the exact same thing, and I didn't have to pay extra to get this. I just had to drain the cherries, and that was suggested by one of my viewers, so thank you again, Kim. So we're gonna get this freeze dried, and that is going to allow me to use this as an ingredient in dishes, as a flavor additive to things like baked goods or breakfasts. Imagine adding some cherry powder to butter and putting it on toast or pancakes. Doesn't that sound good? I do that with strawberry powder as well. It can also just be rehydrated back into a liquid to use as a beverage. So we're gonna go ahead and fill however many trays this is going to take. So this is probably half a gallon. I'm thinking that would be 2 trays. And then I have some pineapple coconut juice. I had some guests over for dinner a few weeks ago and pulled out some juices. We don't regularly drink juice in this house, but every once in a while. I also get this from Azure Standard. I keep this on hand for summertime. I did pull some out because we had some guests and maybe a little bit more than a third of it was consumed. And I don't want to waste the rest, but I'm not going to be using this probably until summer. It is definitely not summer. We've got about 3 feet of snow outside. So we're gonna go ahead and get this freeze dried and powdered down, and then I can use it at will in the summer. I really like the coconut pineapple juice to flavor cocktails. Makes it like a pina colada when I'm floating in the pool. I do that 1 or 2 days during the summer. It's my reset after working so hard throughout the entire year. I do take a couple of days, not back to back, but a couple of days in the summer where I just lounge and have a couple cocktails, and I like to use this. So I don't want this to go to waste. Juice is expensive, so we're gonna get that freeze dried. I'm gonna be pouring them onto the trays. We're gonna stick them into the freezer, and it's early in the morning. It's just before 9 a.m. So I might be able to pull them out tonight and get them started. Otherwise, we'll come back and we'll do that in the morning. The trick with doing liquids is not filling the trays so much that they're going to spill when you're getting them into the freezer, and to even maybe fill the last little bits if you want to come all the way up on the trays if we need to do that while it's in the freezer and already seated so that you're not going to be tipping it or wobbling it. So let's go ahead and get some of this poured onto trays so we can get it frozen and we can get freeze drying. I'm going to start with the dark tart cherry juice. This is most important to me. Tart cherry juice is rich in copper, potassium, manganese, magnesium, iron, and vitamin A. It does help provide you with a layer of protection from cancer. It also works as a pain reducer, and it does help lower blood pressure as well. So this is not just juice, this is actually healthy for you. This does not have any sugar added, because it came straight from the cherries. And tart cherry juice helps increase muscle strength, decrease soreness, and even helps you recover after exercise if you are somebody who strenuously exercises. It also contains melatonin and tryptophan, so it helps increase the amount of sleep you get as well as the quality of sleep you get. It also contains some anti-inflammatory properties as well as antioxidants, and it helps minimize your risk and even the symptoms of degenerative brain disorders while improving your overall immunity. This is not just juice, a filler drink. This is actually really good for you. I'm going to set that aside. You just want to be sure that you're not filling it so much that you're going to spill it. You want to leave a little bit of room on the tray for a little bit of wobble without going over the sides. I'm hoping this is only going to take 2 trays, and then I can get my coconut pineapple juice on a 3rd tray, and then I can actually get some milk done. I did buy some milk specifically for this reason, but then I remembered I had the pineapple coconut juice. which needs to get done first. So I'll probably do milk in the next batch. Good, that only filled 2 trays. Excellent. So we're gonna get a lid on this. Carefully stack that. And now let's see how many trays this is going to take. Now this is thicker, this is a true juice. Even though there are no sugars added, it does have sugar in it. It's made from concentrate. And specifically, this has filtered water sufficient to reconstitute the concentrated juices, which are pineapple and apple juice, coconut milk, white grape juice concentrate, cream coconut, some xanthan gum, and then some natural flavorings. But this is lovely. And that means I do have 1 tray that I can start doing some milk on. Now I've mentioned I don't keep milk in my house, and that's true in liquid form. I buy powdered milk from Azure Standard because we don't drink milk by the glassful. We don't typically have cereal, so we don't need milk to drink. But we do need milk to cook with, to bake with, so I keep powdered milk on hand. I usually buy it, as I mentioned, in powder form already, but I've never done it myself. So I want to see how freeze drying your own milk comes out and see if that's something that I want to do instead of buying it already in powder form. So we're gonna do 1 tray of milk today as well. And with the price of dairy products on the rise, I'm looking forward to having more shelf-stable ingredients like milk ready to use as needed, where there won't be any waste. The reason we don't keep milk in the house is because typically we would buy milk because somebody would want a bowl of cereal or something, and then the rest of the milk would go bad because nobody would drink it. So this is zero waste. We get to use just the right amount of milk for whatever application that we're using. This is an excellent way to preserve food and to put some long-term food storage into your pantry. It also provides you with budget meal ingredients. You're not having to run out and buy something. You have everything on hand at today's prices versus future prices where you might need to replenish those ingredients from buying things from the store. So let me get the milk. We'll see how much we can get on here. Actually, I know my trays hold 4 to 5 cups. If I go all the way to the top, it's 5 cups. So we're probably doing about 4.5 cups on this tray. I'm not going all the way to the top. That was quite a bit, actually. Now this is my broken lid, but we're still going to use it. And then we're going to carefully carry these over to my freezer, my secondary stand-up freezer that is here in the kitchen, and try to get these in there without spilling. It would have been more prudent to put 1 tray in the freezer and then fill liquid on it, put the top on it, stack another tray, fill it, put the lid on. But I can't film that way. You just wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. So now I'm just gonna try to get these in there without spilling anything. I'll probably spill a little and that would be okay. By the end of this video, I'm going to have some freeze-dried milk, some freeze-dried pineapple coconut juice, and some freeze-dried Tart cherry juice. Shelf-stable milk, meaning shelf-stable dairy product. I am looking forward to having all 3 of these. The pineapple coconut juice, just because I don't want to waste it. The Tart cherry juice, because of the health benefits and because that is a juice I do purchase. But if I can get the same juice because I purchased the cherries and already got my value out of those cherries, this juice is just a bonus, and we got 2 full trays of that. And then milk, again, just for the convenience of having powdered milk available to use as ingredients when I cook. Let's see if we can get these in the freezer without spilling. I've got 1 tray in here already. This is where I'm stacking up some meat that I am slowly accumulating to freeze dry. So the other trays will just stack right on top of here. I have boxes in my freezer. This is how I store the meat that I pick up from my local farmer every year. And right now there's just a hodgepodge of things in here because we still got garden things and everything else. As the meat has been diminishing, I've had room to put other things in here, but definitely need to get this cleaned out and make sure I can get my annual order placed soon. Now the freeze dryer tray that's already in there is the one that comes from Harvest Right. It doesn't have the notches on the top like this one, which is going to make it easier for me to just slide this right on top. Voila. Here is our coconut pineapple juice. For our last tray, I decided to change the lid since the other one had a hole in the corner, and this last tray is definitely tricky to get up on top without spilling. There we go. I'm just going to try to line these up so they stack, so at least it's not angled. So I'll bring you back when they're frozen and we're ready to put them into the freeze dryer. These have been in the freezer for a day and a half. I didn't have time yesterday to take them out, but here's our coconut pineapple juice. That is about 3 cups. Tray 1 of our lovely Tart cherry juice. That's about 4 cups because my tray holds 5 total. Here we have milk. I can't wait to see how this comes out because, as I said earlier, I do buy powdered milk from Azure Standard. It's just my preferred way of keeping milk in the house. And if I can do it myself and get the same good tasting end product, I might just switch over to this. Those are fully frozen. This won't take long. Let's get the drain valve closed. And then just push continue. This is standard freeze dryer settings. I have the Harvest Right, and I have an extra 15 hours standard on my extra dry time. So I'll bring you back when the time zeroes out and we'll verify that they're dry before we package these up and give them a try. We are at the 33.5-hour mark, and I'm hoping that these are done. And I'm so glad that I thoroughly cleaned out the freeze dryer before I did this run because it is absolutely filthy again. I'll show you that in a minute. I'm just going to open the drain valve. And then I can open the door. This is so filthy. The door is incredibly dirty. Look at this. Can you see this? But there's so much food on this door again, so we're gonna have to clean this again. Let's give our trays a look. Here's our milk. It does feel very dry. I think we're gonna be okay on the milk. Here is our coconut pineapple juice. That has sugar in it, so it's not gonna be super powderable at first. And then we have our Tart cherry juice. Now this I'm a little worried about. This looks kind of like a sticky mess, so this may not powder down, but we'll see what we can do with it. And if not, I will just rehydrate this and put it back in the freezer. But let's get everything into the kitchen. We'll take a closer look. We'll see what we can do with it. And we'll get it packaged up. I am going to go ahead and defrost this. I know the milk is done, and I know that the coconut pineapple juice is done. The dark Tart cherry juice may not be done. It looks a little bit sticky still, but I can already tell it's not going to do what I want it to do, and so I'll probably just rehydrate that. So we're just going to go ahead and defrost. I'm a little disappointed in that dark Tart cherry juice. I should have probably known that based on when I did the strawberry lemonade. Even though these cherries did not have sugar added to them, they do have a lot of natural sugar in them. I think we're just gonna have to get that reconstituted, put back in the freezer, and then I can just use it from a frozen state. That's fine. I am glad I did the milk. This looks like it came out fantastic. Let me give you a close-up on that because you really couldn't see it very well because it's evening and my freeze dryer room is dark. But this looks gorgeous. It looks just as white as snow. I'm really pleased with how this came out. And I'm gonna put these into jars, and then I am going to put either a oxygen absorber in with them, or I will use my little portable sealer if I can get that to work. to suck all the air out because this milk will not get used very often. We just don't use milk very often, which is why I don't buy milk and keep it in my refrigerator. But it is nice to have on hand, to have ready to go whenever you do need it, which is why I stock powdered milk. And making it myself, we'll see how it comes out. We'll leave a little out to give it a try. I think it's probably cheaper to do it yourself than to buy it the way I've been buying it from Azure Standard. I get their A2 organic milk, but we don't need the A2. We don't have anybody here who has a problem digesting milk. It does taste pretty good though. They do have a good product. And because this is whole milk, which has some fat in it, I am going to use warm water to reconstitute this because it's going to help minimize any graininess that might be in here that is a result of trying to reconstitute something that has fat. You're going to have to melt that fat down into a liquid state. And even though there's not much, I find that with sour cream or yogurt, you're going to want to melt that fat down just a little. I'm going to leave some out to reconstitute. So one tray, looks like it's gonna be about a quart. I'm gonna smush this down a little bit. I usually do about a tablespoon to a quarter cup. So tablespoon of the powder to a quarter cup of liquid. And that is perfect. So yeah, we got a nice full quart size jar of milk powder, which would be more than a quart size of reconstituted milk. I'll get my kettle heated up here in the meantime. Coconut pineapple juice. This is sticky. I think it's just going to be easier to get out if I break it down into little squares first. It smells wonderful. This is easily going to powder down, no problem. I know a lot of people would probably weigh this. I'm not going to. I just eyeball my reconstitutions and go slow with the liquid that I'm adding. I have found after a few years of doing this that the weigh method for reconstitution isn't always accurate. You could have weighed the trays before and after, and then the difference in weight is the amount in weight of the liquid that you would want to add back in. But I find that never once is it perfect. I get a better result when I just go with my gut and what I'm seeing and what I'm tasting, the consistency and all of that. If you like the weigh method and you get a good result with that, that's perfectly fine. I'm gonna leave just a little bit of that out as well to reconstitute it and see how we did. Coconut pineapple juice, shelf stable, ready to be reconstituted. This looks like it's spray painted on the bottom of the tray. I don't even know that I would be able to scrape that off. And these trays were full. They were almost up to the top there. Let me see if it's gonna come up at all. No, It's not gonna come out of there. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add water to that. I can even use the water that I've got going in my kettle, and I will portion this out. I think it was 4 cups of juice per tray. So this should reconstitute to 4 cups as well as this. So 8 cups total of this cherry juice. Trying to decide how I want to store that. I could potentially put it in some of those little tiny mason jars and then just use that as a concentrate. Maybe I'll do 1 cup increments. I can't see me needing 4 cups for any one project, so that's probably what I'll do. So I'm gonna set these aside for just a minute. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit and then we'll reconstitute things. I'm gonna start with the milk. And I'm just gonna do a tablespoon, and anything above and beyond that, I'll put back in the jar here. Get the rest put away so it doesn't rehydrate in the ambient air. Because there's still quite a bit in here. Smush that down a little bit so we have some room. Now I'm going to pour a 1/4 cup of warm steamy water, so it's going to be hot milk for a minute, but I'll stick it in the freezer for just a few minutes before we try it. This is just going to ensure that it's not gritty and that it fully blends all back together. And voila. We'll see if the ratio works on this powdered milk. For the pineapple coconut juice, I really don't know how much to put in the cup, but I'm gonna go, I think, about the same. So let me just crunch some down. So tablespoon of that. There's no fat in here, it's just the sugar. So let me get some cold water for in here. Okay, I've got a 1/2 cup of filtered room temperature water. And I'm gonna pour 1/2 of that in. That's about 1/4 cup. And because I didn't use the warm water like I did here, I do need to stir that up. And that is already reconstituted. And it looks lovely. Let me take a taste and we'll see if my ratio is correct. It's perfect, perfect. So a tablespoon of the juice to a 1/4 cup of liquid. That is so good. I'm trying to think if it would be better a little less water or if it could handle a little more water, but I think it's perfect just like this. Yep, that's how I would do it. 1 tablespoon to 1/4 cup of liquid. I'm gonna stick the milk in the refrigerator for a few minutes while we deal with the cherries. I actually forgot that I left some out on the tray to use, so let me get that put in here. It's been a long, long week. I'm really tired. Looking forward to the weekend. All right, now I can set these aside. I'm gonna use my portable vacuum sealer to see if it works. I have not been having good luck with it, so I'll probably end up putting an oxygen absorber in both of these jars, and that's how I'll just store them in my pantry. For these, I'm just gonna pour some water on these trays and know that each of them should be 4 cups when fully reconstituted. And the hot water here is gonna help melt that sugar back down into liquid. I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. It's looking good. You could weigh these and then take off 1/4 of the weight and store them in 1 cup measurements, which I think is what I will probably do. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, they're gonna need to sit in that hot water for a bit, because look at this, that sugar is on there. I would recommend not doing this, but at least I wasted the cherry juice that I didn't pay for separately, and not you. So I will bring you back in a little bit. I need that milk to cool down, and I need these to sit in the hot water. I might even get hotter water in here to get these sugar crystals redissolved. It's been about 2 minutes. Nothing much is happening in these pans. There's not much water in here to start with. I really only dusted the bottom of the tray. So let's add some more hot water and see if we can get this sugar up. Okay, that's definitely working. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if I can get you in close enough. Let's try it now. It definitely cleared the sugar right where I poured the extra hot water. Let's do that again. So it definitely needs super hot water to work. That's looking better. Maybe a metal spatula. Okay. Just needs extra hot water. And I don't want to put more than 4 cups of hot water in here or fill the tray, because that's how much this holds, is 4 cups. I don't know. This may not work. This may be a loss. However, I'm going to try. So we're going to keep adding a little bit of the hot water at a time. This might be interesting. This is like a piece of candy. That's actually really good. Like a Jolly Rancher. You could make your own Jolly Ranchers out of this. I'm certainly not giving instructions on how to do that right now, but when I scraped up the stuff that was on the bottom here, boy, that turned into a Jolly Rancher. Delicious. So that could be a fun experiment with your kids. Homemade Jolly Rancher candy made from 100% real organic juice. That is delicious. And I don't even know if that is going to turn back into liquid. I'll keep at this for a little while. This is working well. It took about 10 minutes, but all I have left is this one little area here. This first tray that I did, everything has completely dissolved back into a beautiful liquid. Over here, we still have some of those Jolly Rancher-like pieces from where I've scraped it up, but they do dissolve because the bigger one that was over here totally dissolved. So we're okay. We're gonna save this. I've added as little water as I could possibly add, because I don't want 8 cups of liquid in my freezer. And we're just about there. And then I'm gonna let this sit for maybe 10 minutes, see if we can get the rest of these little pieces in here that are now floating to dissolve completely. Oh, I think I got the last of it. I think I did. Yep. We've just got a few pieces in here that need to dissolve, and I'm going to add just a little bit more hot water to help that happen. Tiny bit. And then we'll let that sit. And then we'll measure it into a measuring cup and see how much it yielded. And we'll know that whatever the result is, we can divide that by 8 and know how many servings that we have, or how I'm going to package this up so that it's 8 servings. Definitely not the outcome that I was expecting or hoping for, but not a bad outcome either, because I absolutely learned something doing this and I didn't lose the product. And I reduced the overall volume so it will fit better into my freezer. So I'm going to consider that a win. I think I can get it into my large 4-cup measuring cup, and if I go all the way to the top, that's 5 cups. These trays are not even half filled, and I know they hold 4 cups each, so we should be fine. Famous last words, maybe. Beautiful. That smells incredible because it's concentrated. It smells so good. Most of the pieces in here have dissolved. Let's see what we have for volume. Not bad. And see, clean trays. I was worried there at first, wondering how I was going to get all of that off. So we reduced this by quite a bit. We started out with 8 cups. We are now down to 2 cups. So that means 1 cup of this concentrate is going to make 4 cups of juice. And that means I can use 1/4 cup of concentrate to 3/4 cups of water to get back to 1 cup of tart cherry juice. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pour this into little tiny ball jars in 1/4 cup increments and then just put it back in my freezer. And now let's see how we did on our milk. It tastes a little watery. I might do half and half. I might do 1/8 of a cup to 1/4 of a teaspoon. Yeah, that tastes more like a 2% or even a non-fat, but it's good. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Freeze Dry Friday, Liquid Experiments Edition. I think these are gonna work out well. There's plenty of head space in there to stay in the freezer. I have 5 of these minis and 2 with a double amount, so this will reconstitute into 2 cups. And these will reconstitute into 1 cup each. My name is Kelly, you're at A Better Choice Homestead, and I do hope you come back and visit again soon.